Hi, I'm Tracy with MeatRx, and we're here today with another success story from our friend Craig, who is going to tell you all about how carnivore changed his life. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Great. So, how did you, or what kind of conditions or things did you deal with in your life before coming to carnivore?
So I had a number of issues that I was dealing with leading into going into the carnivore diet. So little background, I came from pro sports. So in my early 20s, I was in very good shape and then kind of drastically fell out of shape as I got older. It was because of a couple things. One, I was struggling with alcohol abuse at the time, which, and I'll get into how this diet has kind of helped me with that. I had some skin issues that were kind of ongoing, just redness, kind of dry, irritated skin. One of the biggest things I struggled with, and I didn't really even see it as a problem because I had always had it, was stomach issues. And it was kind of an ongoing joke in my family, that I'd be running to the bathroom 30 minutes after a meal. They'd be like, oh, okay, well, Craig just ate, so time to go to the bathroom. And I never really realized how big of an issue it was until I switched my diet up and saw what kind of having normal stomach reactions to food was. I also dealt with a lot of sleep issues. So I have a tough time falling asleep. So I've been diagnosed with insomnia, took medication for that for probably the last 10 or 12 years. And then as a result of the weight gain, I had developed sleep apnea. So not only was I having a tough time falling asleep, but I couldn't get good sleep because I was waking up from stopping breathing. I also struggled with depression. That's something that I had diagnosed probably 10 to 12 years ago, and had been taking medication kind of on and off. I would get to the point that I felt better and would come off, and then it would kind of gradually restart. And I just got in a vicious cycle, ended up taking extra medication to deal with the side effects of those medications, as we all know is something that is quite frequent in pharmaceuticals. And then the weight gain. So I went from probably 215 pounds in my early 20s playing baseball to, at my worst, when I knew I had to change, I had topped the scales at 320 pounds. I was wearing a size 44 pant. I was wearing a triple XL shirt, and I was having a tough time looking myself in the mirror. And I think I had let it go to the point that, when the straw finally broke, I looked myself in the mirror and said, like, what have you done to yourself? Like, how did you let yourself get to this point? So the first thing I did was I said, well, I got to get rid of the alcohol. So I did that kind of on my own, brought myself off, used some friends as support. And then I said, now the next thing I need to do is get my health in check. So like a lot of people from a certain documentary, I decided to give vegan a go. So I did my first month of weight loss vegan. Now, doing that, I lost a few pounds, but I just couldn't wrap my head around getting my macros right and all the weighing of the food and what to eat, how to get enough protein, how to get enough fats, how to get enough carbs. And I was always hungry. I felt like I had no energy. It just didn't feel like the right thing for me. And it was at that point that I discovered Dr. Baker. So I had been following the Bell brothers for a long time. I was a huge fan of their documentaries growing up, Bigger, Stronger, Faster. I had always kind of followed along with them, and I had seen the success that they were having on the carnivore diet. And at first I thought it sounded ridiculous, right? Like eating just animal-based foods, like how could anybody survive like that? Like, wouldn't there be health issues involved? And that's when I got into, following Dr. Baker and following Dr. Saladino and seeing the research behind it. And finally the straw broke and I said, well, what's crazier, giving this a try or continuing to wreck my body the way I am right now? Like that seemed like the lesser of two crazy evils, so to speak. And I thought, I'm just going to jump into this. And I mean, worst case scenario, I'm right where I am now. Best case scenario, maybe I can change my life.
Awesome. So, how did you begin implementing the carnivore diet? Did you follow a certain thing? I understand what you mean about the trying to get the macros and so forth balanced out. that was hard for me. I don't like counting anything. So
Same here. I had the same issues. And when I first started carnivore, I thought, like, am I going to have to weigh my meals? And everything I kept reading, all the research I was doing on it was like, no, just eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satisfied, and do that however many times a day it takes. So I jumped in head first. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this full on. So I was really, in the beginning, I was eating eggs. I would eat ground beef, and still to this day, ground beef and eggs is one of my favorite meals. A lot of steak, and I would still eat, fish or lamb. But I was strict in the very beginning, from day one. And I know a lot of people talk about going through a transition phase. I was lucky enough that I didn't. I think part of it was with all the stomach issues I had previously in my life, and eating that standard American or standard Canadian diet that I was so accustomed to, that it kind of corrected that. And I didn't have any of the stomach issues that some people talk about during transition. So in the first 30 days on carnivore, I lost 34 pounds.
wow.
And the weight loss was important to me, but it was kind of my secondary goal. Like, I wanted to make sure that I was kind of getting the rest of my health in check.
Mm-hmm.
But the weight started just flying off. At that point, I thought, well, maybe I can, try to add some stuff in. So I would have some vegetables once or twice a week. And then it just kind of hit me like, well, let's really stick to this diet and see where I can kind of push myself with it. So after about a week of adding some vegetables in, I went back to, the very strict 100% carnivore diet. Now I'm, I guess, about 4.5 months into carnivore. I've lost 85 pounds. I'm down from 320 to 235, from a 44 pant to a 36, and they're starting to get a little baggy on me. Starting to cost me a lot of money to tailor my suits for work. But on top of that, what I saw in all of my other health issues kind of blew me away. So it helped me come off of the alcohol, I think, because you associate when you're drinking, you tend to eat that garbage food that comes with having beers at the bar, right? Whether it's, the big hamburgers with the buns covered in butter, or, deep fried battered chicken wings, whatever the case might be. I didn't really have the desire to do that anymore. It kind of helped with the symptoms of coming off of that. My sleep was one of the first things to improve. I found I was able to fall asleep much easier. And then as the weight came off, the apnea completely vanished. So I no longer have sleep apnea. My skin cleared up probably within the first 2 or 3 weeks, to the point that people started asking me if I was getting treatments done. I do work in aesthetics, so I was getting asked if I was doing Botox or, getting laser treatments done to fix the redness. After about the 3rd month, I decided to start to come off of my antidepressant medication, and did so very successfully in a matter of maybe 2 weeks, just weaning off of the dosage. I've had no issues since. And then amazingly, my stomach issues stopped probably within the first 2 or 3 days. At first, I remember thinking like, well, maybe I'm getting constipated from all of this, but it was just getting back to a normal cycle, right? Like, I wasn't running to the bathroom after eating these meals. And just kind of every aspect of my life kind of fell into place. I feel like I have more energy all the time. It's very even. I don't have those spikes and declines like I used to, eating a lot of carbs and a lot of sugars. I find from the time I wake up to the time to go to bed, I'm on a very even keel, and I'm able to accomplish whatever I need to do during the day. I have a ton of energy at the gym. I like to say I busted the myth of not being able to get a pump on a no carb diet, because my workouts have improved 100% since starting this diet. And it seems like every week, gradually, something else is getting better. Like something is changing. A problem I didn't even know I had is starting to go away. I really can't believe the results that this has been able to do for me.
Sounds miraculous.
It really is. That's probably
and
the best word to describe.
You look great too.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it feels nice being 235 as opposed to 320. I remember it almost seems like a lifetime ago, having to lean to the side to tie my shoes because I couldn't get over my stomach over my knees. So
Oh,
it's definitely turned everything around for me.
that's great. Um, so you've resolved everything that you had kind of started out to do, but you're still discovering things as you're going then.
And that's it. And I think the biggest thing for me is when I first started, I was kind of chasing an end goal, right? Like everybody's got that image in their mind of here's what I want to look like here's what my goal body looks like. And through doing this, I've kind of changed my mindset on that whole thing, where there's just no finish line anymore. Like I'm not chasing an end goal. I just really enjoy every couple months getting to use the picture I was super proud of 2 months ago as my new before picture.
Oh,
And so that's something that's kind of what I'm chasing, is just, let's see how much more I can improve, and let's see how healthy I can get doing this.
right. Oh, wow, that's really cool. I'm amazed that you can build muscle easily.
I was surprised. I have a lot of friends who are competitive bodybuilders who will still argue with me about it, saying that, I need the carbs, and I'm able to say, well, clearly you don't, because I feel way better, and I've been able to put on muscle while on the carnivore diet.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Craig. I really appreciate you telling your story, and I know it'll help a lot of people. And
I
we're just
really
going to keep on
appreciate
going.
what you guys are doing at MeatRx is fantastic. I've been involved with a lot of members within the community, and as I said, the Bell brothers kind of were the first ones to put it on my radar, but then people like Hadi Dumit, the carnivore chef, and a lot of the other members of this community, kind of seeing all the sharing of the success stories, it was like, well, if all these people can give this a go and have success doing it, why can't I? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like if a 320-pound alcoholic who eats like garbage and stays in hotels by himself for work all the time can turn it around doing this, I really believe that anybody can.
That's great. I love hearing that, Craig. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you around the community then.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.